Hello, and welcome to everyone listening in to the meditation, and thank you all for participating. Before we begin, we'd like to remind you that what is being presented is based on logical reasoning, and an extensive use of the notions of cause and effect as the fundamental law that governs all produced things. This is being said to ensure that you use your own critical and logical thinking, and to be aware of any irrational thought that might object, and to try thinking about it before discarding the idea. Therefore, the teaching will try to follow logical reasoning, so if something is not clear, please feel free to send your thoughts and questions to guide@personalmeditationguide.com. Like at every class, we will start with a breathing meditation, which serves to calm the mind, release any tensions and stresses, and clear the mind, which in turn will help with the second part, which will be a contemplation meditation, where we think and analyze a particular topic, and then ending with a placement meditation in relation to the topic. So in this meditation, we will explore and meditate on meditation itself. Why meditate? What is it, and how? This session will rely heavily on the prior foundations set forth in the video regarding happiness and suffering. Therefore, we highly suggest listening to that meditation first, if not already done so. Otherwise, please continue. So please take a comfortable meditation posture in which you can be both relaxed and alert. Make sure that your back is straight, but not tense. Place your hands in your lap and partially close your eyes. Now just take a few moments just to release any tensions and stresses. Calm your mind and your body. Now, create a positive intention or motivation to use this meditation to clear your mind so it benefits yourself and all those around you. Now, bring your attention gently and peacefully at the tip of your nostrils, at the sensation of coolness as you inhale and warmth as you exhale. Do not try to control your breathing. Just engage the tactile sensation of the breath at the tip of your nostrils. If your mind wanders, then gently and peacefully bring your mind back to the sensation of the breath at the tip of your nostrils. And now, turn your attention inward to the flow of thoughts, feelings, and other mental activity. Just observe the thoughts come and go, but do not attach yourself, do not pay attention to any one in particular. Now, come to see how your mind is like a sky, and how your thoughts, feelings, and other mental activity are like clouds. Just as clouds form and disperse within the sky, your thoughts, feelings, and other mental activity appear and dissolve within your mind. And just as when all the clouds disperse to reveal the clarity of the sky, which is expansive and limitless, let all your thoughts and feelings dissolve to reveal the clarity of your mind, which is formless, boundless, and expansive. Come to see how your thoughts and feelings are formless. They have no physical characteristic. And that when you let them dissolve, it reveals the clarity of your mind that is formless, boundless, and expansive. Your mind is like empty like space, just like the sky. And once you have found that experience, meditate on that experience and enjoy the peace of mind that it evokes. And now, before rising from meditation, make a determination to maintain this peace of mind and this clarity of mind, so that it influences everything you think, say, and do. Now you can open your eyes and rise from meditation. So first and foremost, it is important to mention that what will be presented regarding meditation, the way it is defined and how to do it, might be different than other popular meditation schools, such as mindfulness meditation. Therefore, we ask to please keep an open mind and try to set aside what you might already know, and think about it logically and see if the presentation makes sense, whether we call it meditation or if you want to call it something else. Now, why do we meditate? What is commonly accepted is that we meditate in order to develop peace of mind. Why peace of mind? Because in turn we wish to have the effect of feeling good. And who doesn't wish to feel good? So a rhetorical question that can be asked is, do you wish to feel good only sometimes or all the time? What would you choose if you had a choice? I'm guessing it would be all the time. But then I'm sure you're thinking, that's impossible. So let's explore if it would be possible to feel good all the time, meaning at every moment, as this would help us define what meditation should be. So seeing as happiness and suffering are states of mind, and that their causes are prior states of mind, please listen to the video regarding happiness and suffering for the reasoning behind this. It would imply that you are the creator of your own happiness and suffering and no one else. And that is a good thing, because if we train our minds to stay peaceful and to react properly, we will have the causes and conditions to feel happiness all the time instead of suffering. Therefore, meditation as we define it is a training of the mind, just as a fighter trains to be calm and clear of mind to be able to handle anything, obstacle or opportunity that comes the fighter's way, because a stressed or anxious fighter will surely make mistakes and lose the fight. Meditation, or training of the mind, serves the same purpose, meaning you train your mind so that in your daily life you are calm and clear of mind to be able to handle anything, obstacle or opportunity that comes your way. Although in this case, when you make a mistake, you create the causes for future suffering. So basically, we meditate in order to train our mind on how to react to things. So knowing why we should meditate, now how should we meditate? Basically, by repeatedly concentrating single-pointedly your mind on a specific object, and not any object, but one that will cause future happiness. To take the analogy of the fighter once again, the best way for the fighter to improve is to repeatedly concentrate on performing a specific movement until it is familiar, has a deep experience of it, and can do it spontaneously, meaning it feels like second nature. And of course the fighter doesn't do any movement, but one that will be of use during the fight. It is the same principle regarding training your mind. This is actually a big distinction with other meditation techniques that encourage you to either think of nothing or to just watch your thoughts and stop at that. Now imagine if that would be the training of the fighter, to either do nothing or to just be aware of the movements being made, but then do nothing to correct them. As you can all well imagine, the fighter will not get any better, and so the training of your mind works the same way. Now please take note that thinking of nothing can still be used in certain circumstances, as we shall see in later sessions. And becoming aware of one's thoughts is of course the first step in training your mind, although the big improvements start appearing when you get to understanding what you should be doing and then putting them into action. So what are the objects on which to meditate? Let's split them into three. Objects that help us understand how things function, and their implications, such as cause and effect, happiness and suffering. Then there are meditations on states of minds, such as the disadvantages of certain states of minds and the advantages of others, as well as the fabrication and experience of states of minds that cause happiness, such as compassion. And the third type are determinations and visualizations, such as the determination to meditate in your life, and the visualization that a certain state of mind has already been achieved. Therefore, when we meditate, we are actually training our mind to become familiar with states of minds that cause happiness, as was discussed in the first session regarding happiness and suffering. And through cause and effect, we become more and more familiar with these positive states of minds. And by training and becoming more familiar, we will end up changing our basic reactions, our spontaneous reactions to the events that occur external to us. Now, to give you an example, once again using the fighter analogy, as the fighter starts to learning how to punch and move, the fighter will have difficulty. He will have to concentrate and pay attention to the movements that he is making, the weight transfers, the movements, the position of the hands and shoulders, and so on and so forth. So therefore, when we train the mind, we have to start becoming familiar. Now, instead of the body, we have to become familiar of the mind, meaning its movements, where to move it, the position of the mind, and so on and so forth. And just like the fighter, the more he does that movement, the more it becomes natural, and therefore does not have to remember or actually think about it. So let's say when that fighter is actually fighting, he's not passing his time thinking of how to move his body, and he's not thinking of how to react to a certain attack. He is basically reacting based on his training. So without training, it would be impossible to react properly. So training your mind, as has been said, works exactly the same way. The difference is that we train states of minds. We train our mind. We train in reacting certain ways. For instance, as we discussed in the session regarding happiness and suffering, we might have a habit of rejecting external circumstances. And by rejecting it, we create the cause of suffering. We do not feel good. Therefore, in meditation, we could train to feel acceptance, to accept a certain circumstance. And therefore, we become familiar with the act of accepting, with the state of mind of acceptance. And the more we train, that familiarity will increase. And therefore, when a situation will occur, our reaction will be that of patience and not of rejection. And therefore, it will change our state of mind to that of well-being. And we will be able to handle the situation appropriately with a calm and peaceful mind. Now, at the beginning, when we start training, and when we start looking at our mind, we might have a struggle, meaning a certain circumstance occurs in our lives, and maybe our first reaction is still rejection. Although we will have the ability to see it and watch it, and therefore bring our mind back to acceptance. And the more we accept, the more we're changing, little by little, our default reactions to external circumstances, and therefore causing ourselves to feel happy in the future. So the way we meditate is actually an act of control. We are learning to control our mind. If you think about it, it is the only thing you actually have the ability to control. You can't control what other people are saying. You can't control what other people are thinking. You can't control the weather. You can't even control when your body's going to be sick or not. Therefore, if we think about it, you will come to the conclusion that our mind is the only thing that can potentially be controlled. Although we need to train it, otherwise it will be also out of control. To show you at what point our mind is out of control, just take for instance the beginning meditation. Were you able to keep your mind without distraction on your breathing? Or was your mind being taken away without your control, without your consent to other objects. This shows that your mind is out of your control. Your reactions are out of your control. What you have the ability to do, although, is that once you take note of a certain state of mind, you have the ability to either to analyze it, first and foremost, and to decide whether you want to keep it or not. And if you do not want to keep it, you let it go, and therefore you bring your mind back to a state of mind that causes happiness. That is why the meditations that we will be teaching are single-pointed concentrations in order to build the skill of acting on your mind, of controlling your mind. And over time, you'll be able to stay single-pointedly on a single object without losing it. This ability in your day-to-day life is what's going to give you the power to remain focused, clear-minded, and at peace, and thus being able to create and keep creating the causes of happiness. This is how you can foresee that if you continue training your mind, you can train your mind until you're happy all the time, because you will be building, you will be changing your default reactions, basically no longer reacting on negativities, thus perpetually creating the causes of suffering. Instead, you will be training your mind to react positively so that you continuously create the causes of happiness. To further explore why we could eliminate suffering completely is because if you do not create the cause, then its effect is impossible. If you never plant the seed of an apple tree, then you will never get an apple tree. Therefore, if you never seed suffering, you will never get suffering. So understanding this is why meditation is key for happiness, but a reasonable way of meditating, which resembles any problem-solving skills. If you take external world, for instance, and you try to resolve a problem, there's always 3 basic steps. First, you must observe the problem, because if you never become conscious or aware of it, then it is impossible to get rid of it. Second is to analyze and find solutions to the problem using cause and effect analysis. And third and lastly is to implement the solution. That is why other schools of meditation that only stop at observing your states of minds cannot properly fix the problem. And the problem we are trying to resolve here is the elimination of our suffering. Because if you only observe the problem, then you never get to analyzing and finding solutions and implementing them. Therefore, step 2 and 3 are essential to resolving the problem that we call suffering. And that's what we will be teaching in the next sessions. We will always be meditating on objects that cause our future happiness. And by doing so, we will familiarize ourselves with these objects. Therefore, we will create the causes of happiness in our mind, and therefore have the effect that we properly call happiness, this positive state of mind. What's important about meditation is to come to an actual experience of the state of mind we're talking about, and not only an intellectual understanding of it. To understand this, it is the same as saying, it is not sufficient to know the dance. You must then dance. So in meditation, we have to use our analysis and contemplation to come to a proper solution. But then, we must then create and fabricate the experience, the feelings that come along with that analysis. Such as at the beginning where we contemplated that happiness and suffering are states of minds, therefore their causes can only be found within the mind. If it remains only intellectual understanding, then it will not change our actions. Therefore, we must contemplate and fabricate the experience that goes along with that analysis. And that is the object of meditation. It's a feeling. It's an experience. If we do not get to that experience and that feeling, then we will not be changing our core mental behaviors. I'm sure many of you have experienced in your life a strong feeling and emotion that drove you to do something, even though intellectually you understood that it wasn't the right thing to do. Yet, your feelings and emotion drove you more than your intellect. This shows that there can be a great divide, a big disconnect between your intellect and your feelings. Therefore, meditation is used to put them in sync, where your wisdom not only becomes intellectual, but your wisdom becomes an emotion, an experience, and that your wisdom is driving, therefore causing spontaneously and continually causes of happiness instead of suffering. This is of prime importance to come to an experience of those states of mind, and not just an intellectual analysis of them. This is how meditation, in conjunction with how to resolve problems, just applied to the mind instead of external things, is able to work and function, and will have the desired results to create happiness in your life and eliminate suffering completely. This has the potential of removing from your mind reactions of anger and irritation, of anxiety, stress, so on and so forth. Because you will be eliminating the causes of it, and therefore it will no longer repeat in the future. Because you are changing your default reactions to external things. And that is the key to finding happiness all the time. So how do we meditate, you might ask? Just to explain what is happening in our mind when we meditate, as we did in the beginning meditation. First, you must find the object of meditation. You use your mind to analyze and direct your mind to the proper object of meditation. So at the beginning, we directed it to finding the clarity of our mind. We talk to ourselves in our mind. We use our intellectual capacities to bring us to a certain object. And the objects are states of minds. Once we have found that object, such as the clarity of the mind, we then try to settle our mind in that experience. So meditation is not forceful. You are settling your mind in an experience, and you're trying to let it there for as long as possible. Now what usually happens is our mind wanders into two states. Either it becomes distracted by other thoughts, or our mind becomes numb, as if falling asleep. In both cases, we are no longer concentrating on the object. We've lost the object of meditation. So in that case, we take notice, we smile. We might say, wow, I was very far from the object, or I was completely numb. And then use your mind, your intellect, your analysis to bring your mind back to the object of meditation. And meditation has to be done lightly. It's not a rush to find back the object of meditation. You do not want to bring stress in meditation. It is a calm and peaceful mind. So you find the object of meditation, your mind wanders, you take notice and you bring it back. Your mind wanders, take notice, bring it back. Your mind goes numb, take notice, bring it back. And the more you practice at meditation, the more your ability will be to stay single-pointedly on that object, and the less far and the less time your mind will wander. And that is how you will build your skill when you're not in meditation. Meditation functions to be happy all the time. It is there to train the mind for when you're not meditating, because most of our days are passed not in meditation. Therefore, it is impractical to think that I can only feel good when I meditate, because we know that we cannot meditate all the time, formally sitting down in a peaceful place. Meditation is really there to train the mind when we are not meditating, so that we can retain and easily reconnect with peaceful states of minds during our daily lives, during our busy lives. That is another advantage of meditation. So all this being said, we will meditate on a determination, meaning to build that motivation in our mind and that strong decision in our mind to want to meditate, to want to train our mind in order to be happy all the time, knowing why and knowing how it works. So therefore, this is not something based on blind faith, but based on logical analysis and reasoning to come to the understanding why meditation, the way explained in terms of problem resolution, is extremely important in your life. And meditating on the determination creates that movement in your heart to want to meditate. So the way to meditate on a determination, a beautiful analogy would be, let's say you really want something, an ice cream or a chocolate bar. Now before getting up and actually getting that chocolate bar or that ice cream, there's this strong feeling in your mind that says, I want it. And that strong feeling starts first and foremost as an experience, as a feeling. And from that feeling comes action. And therefore you're willing to get up and do whatever it takes to get it. So the way we meditate on a determination is to create that first desire, that strong decision in your mind that says, I'm going to do it. I want to do it. You have to own that determination. That's where you want to get to. But first and foremost, you have to fabricate that determination. And based on logical reasonings why you do it. So that it's backed by conviction, not just blind faith. Once you have created that strong decision in your mind to want to meditate, to incorporate meditation in your daily life, so that you can learn to be happy all the time. That is the object of meditation. That movement in your heart that says, I'm going to do it now. I want to do it. And if you lose that object, that experience, that feeling, reuse the analysis to come back to the conclusion that meditation is important. And therefore, I must meditate. And make it personal. Think of the implications, what it means for you to want to meditate, what you will need to do in your life to put it in practice. Therefore, take a comfortable meditation posture in which you can be both relaxed and alert. Now just take a few deep breaths to calm your mind once again, just as the beginning meditation. And now, contemplate the following. Happiness and suffering are states of minds. Therefore, their causes can only be within the mind. Seeing how my mind is uncontrolled, and that it is the only thing that can be controlled, since it is the creator of my own happiness, I must therefore learn to control my mind and familiarize myself with the causes of happiness. In order to do that, I must train my mind. If I want to change my default reactions and be continuously creating the causes of happiness and no longer creating the causes of suffering, I must learn to train my mind. I must familiarize myself with the causes of happiness. I must meditate. Keep repeating to yourself, I must meditate. I must meditate. See what that implies in your life, personal, what you need to do to put that in place. And once you have found that determination, that desire, that decision to want to meditate, knowing why, that is the object of meditation. Now, before rising from meditation, you can imagine your loved ones, your family, your friends. Imagine them before you and give them all this wisdom and this determination. Now imagine that they too realize why they should meditate and want to meditate, and rejoice in seeing them do so. So give them all this wisdom and this energy, this determination. Now, at your own pace, you can gently rise from meditation. Thank you.